So today's topic is obviously promos. I mean, how can we like pump this up to what we're talking about today?
Yeah, so essentially, we each picked 5 of our home countries,
Hmm.
promo givers, and, it's just kinda like our favorites of today, and we're just gonna kinda discuss them, and, you'll have 5 from the UK, I'll have 5 from America, and it's gonna be a good discussion.
I will point out one thing, by the way, for people listening. Out of all the episodes we've done, this has been the most stressful because I've been talking to a lot of people saying, "Oh, should I include?" Then you get sort of list of names, and then some people had some more names. So by yesterday, I had a long list, and I'm like, "I've got to pick 5 from here, and this is hard."
Yeah, yes, I mean, especially, you know, there's a whole lot more, mainstream American wrestlers than British, so it probably
Hmm.
was harder for you, I would imagine. Whereas I have like most of the heavy hitters on AEW and Raw and SmackDown to pick from.
Yeah, of course. So it's going to be a nice discussion and stuff. We're not competing. We're just basically showing some love to our homegrown talent. Is that fair?
Yeah, yeah. There's no competition here. The US and the UK are allies with each other. We love each other. The American Revolution, War of 1812, that's all 100 years in the past. We're cool. We're good with each other.
There you go. But of course, as always, intern, roll the intro. The first comment I've just seen here. No, this is a full-out border war.
I suppose for you Canadians, it would depend on where you fall in the British versus French debate, right? Like if you're like on the western end and you're like a little more towards the British side of Canada, like you're probably more aligned with the UK. But if you're a French Canadian, those French and British, they just didn't get along together, man. They fought
Nope.
several wars here in North America, so I guess it
Well,
depends.
a little bit of history there for you guys. Welcome to the show. I'm, of course, one half of the host, Liam Wakeland.
And I am the effing expert, Mr. Isaacs. I am a little under the weather, but I'll push through.
But you're still here. That's the main thing, right? Even though you're feeling a bit under the weather, you still make it here.
Dude, I loaded up on medication and I've been grumpy AF this morning, as I'm sure the community chat can attest. But I'm getting there, man. I took some Mucinex. It's kind of helping me out a little bit. I think I'm gonna be okay. I think we're gonna
Just
put on a good show.
absolutely. But please don't do what JP did on her show.
No, I don't think this Mucinex has a drowsiness component to it. So, I don't think I'm going to nod off. I don't think so. But if I do, I apologize. You can make
Okay.
fun of me afterwards.
I did it with JB, so I can easily do it with my co-host. So I imagine then it's just been a typical week where you've just not done much.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I felt pretty good until like later in the day yesterday. So, I mean, I did do jujitsu this week.
Mm.
It all things considered, it wasn't bad. But then yesterday, it's like the gunk started coming back that I had from
Mhm.
last week, and it's driving me insane, dude.
Of course, but you know what? Like I said, you push through it and stuff like that, and it just the thing is, this seems to be like a regular thing. Do you know? It's just, but you're just bad with weather and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, this is the second time I've been sick in the past like month and a half. We had a bad stomach bug, and then I had this respiratory, whatever this is, some kind of sinus infection. Um, that hit me last week pretty good. Kind of lightened up a little bit. Cough still stayed, and now like the congestion's coming back. It could be allergy related too. Like I do have really bad seasonal allergies.
Yeah, the warm weather's obviously hit the UK here as well, so a lot of people's obviously got the hay fever thing, so that kind of plays a little big part. I'm
I gotta ask
looking at
you
them.
something. I gotta ask you
Go
one
ahead.
thing, not to cut you off, but what did you think of the portrait, the official portrait of King Charles?
In the red.
Yes.
If anything, I've seen more memes about it. Do you know, like people like he's taking it off, and it's like somebody else completely different.
You know what the first thing I thought of was when I saw it?
Go ahead.
Have you seen Ghostbusters 2?
I have.
The portrait of Vigo the Carpathian. Like, that's what that reminded me of.
Yeah, I know a lot of people in the UK is not a big fan of it, but I'm not going to say anything bad. I don't want to end up in jail or something like that.
No, don't do that now. Don't do that. It's the American guy that made the Vigo the Carpathian joke, for anybody out there listening.
Absolutely, absolutely. So before we obviously get into our main event, we've got a little bit of news to get out of the way. We call it every week, and the name always seems to escape me. What is it again?
The Magic Weekly.
Now, of course, you just mentioned there you've had a little bit of a disagreement with a lot of people in the chat. I want to start with that. What's been going off? Because I've kind of missed this.
Well, part of it's just me being grumpy, I guess, where I'm not feeling too well. But it's like I kind of got on like a tirade, I guess, about the internet wrestling community and toxicity and saying F you to people that don't like the same wrestling show that you like. It just kind of gets on my nerves, man. It's just like I've been seeing this bullshit all over the place lately, and it's just it's getting to me a little bit. Like it makes wrestling fans come across as mentally deranged, and it's disheartening to see. I'm not saying that nobody in the chat, I'm not saying that about them. I'm just talking more about like Twitter, X, and random Facebook groups, where it's just you see constant just bickering and personal attacks and harassment, because it's like, well, the show that I like about fake fighting men in their underwear is better than your fake fighting men in their underwear show, and you're a jerk for not liking the same one I like. It's getting a bit ridiculous, don't you think?
It is a little bit, yeah, but I kind of tend to stay away from that drama type thing. So before we obviously talk about the news and stuff, we've got to say thank you to one of our sponsors. We haven't talked about these for a week. Mr. Isaac, tell everybody about FTW Wrestling.
FTW Wrestling. It's ran by Natalia Markova and Brian Idol down in Largo, Florida. And you could go there, train to be a professional wrestler, learn from affiliates of All Effin' Wrestling, friends of All Effin' Wrestling. They'll teach you how to wrestle, and maybe you can end up in the big leagues one day.
And just to give you guys a little insight, here's the video.
Determination, perseverance. These are the qualities that make a champion. Do you have what it takes to be the next wrestling superstar? Are you ready to turn your dreams into a reality? At Fight the World Wrestling's World Wrestling Academy, we can help you become the champion you were meant to be. Our world travel trainers, Brian Idol and Natalia Markova, are well-known industry professionals with years of experience in the world of wrestling. From the basics to advanced techniques, they are dedicated to help give you the tools that you need to succeed in the ring. Our training program is tailored to challenge you, push you to your limits, and help you discover your full potential. Come join our diverse group of talent. Join us at Fight the World Wrestling's World Wrestling Academy and make your dream a reality. Visit our website or contact us to learn more and start your journey to the top today.
Today. Not tomorrow. Today. I am so glad we had a sponsor there, because my chair was literally dropping down.
You had to take a moment to fix your equipment. You had an equipment malfunction.
Yeah, I don't know if people noticed that, but my chair was slowly going down a little bit. I'm like, let's just play this sponsor, please.
We got Shane in the house. Noob. What is going on, my man? Noob. Always one of my faves around here. Noob says wrestling fans on Twitter and on YouTube are acting all edgy and cool. I'd rather enjoy watching shows on Netflix and Hulu. Yeah, man. Man, it's definitely off-putting to see a lot of this kind of shit, for sure.
Absolutely. So we were talked about the King of the Ring yesterday, and a lot of people's against this King of the Ring all of a sudden. It's like it seems to have lost its value a little bit. What do you think?
When they started putting matches on the live events, like that, yeah, I just don't. I'm not into these tournaments at all. I'm really not. The King of the Ring used to be a great thing back in the day. Back in the 90s, it was a huge deal. and it just doesn't feel like a big deal anymore. It just doesn't. I mean, they're gonna have the king and queen, and they're gonna have, they're gonna wear a stupid crown around for a year or two, and then it just. I'm just not a fan of this anymore. Like, if it actually seemed to mean something now, it would be great. But it just doesn't say to me. It just doesn't do anything for me. What are your thoughts?
I mean, the thing is, you're absolutely right. I mean, the one I always sticks out for me was when Edge won it, when Kurt Angle tried beating Shane McMahon and winning the King of the Ring all in the same night. That's the one which sticks out for me. But you're absolutely right. I mean, once it's the crown thing, it's just stupid. Now, there is obviously exceptions. Booker T made it work. King Barrett, you could make that exception. Xavier, possibly, but other than that, it's like, really? Do you have to wear this stupid crown?
Yeah, it would be one thing if they just won it and then just like it was just an accolade and they went on, but then they had to wear a crown and act like they're some kind of king and just remember Queen Zelina, like that was just terrible. It's like just don't wear a crown, don't start speaking with an accent, just don't do any of that shit. Just say you're the King of the Ring 2024 winner and just go on being yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. So who do we think is going to win it? Just out of curiosity.
I think the semifinals now for the men are, but it's Randy Orton and Tama Tonga, right? Is that who it's come down to? And who is it down to on the women's side? It's Nia Jax and somebody. I can't remember.
I think the Nia Jax one and Jade Cargill got thrown out, so I don't know obviously how that's worked out, to be honest.
Yeah, Nia Jax won by disqualification. So it was a way to kind of protect Jade, but yet not have her win the tournament because they want to do other things with her, which makes sense from a booking perspective. I mean, I don't think they're giving it to Randy Orton. I think it's going to be Tama Tonga. I think the Bloodline's going to get involved, and I think Tama Tonga is going to win.
Yeah, I mean, that's the only one who sticks out for me. We said Gunther yesterday because I feel like he needs that, big thing after, that he was losing IC title.
Yeah, it could be Gunther. Who is he going up against? He's the other semifinal match, right?
I'd have to look because I've not actually got that information in front of me.
I haven't kept up enough to like know the brackets, so I'm not entirely sure. But I didn't think about Gunther. I could see them having Gunther win. Maybe beating Randy Orton in the finals and being King Gunther. I mean, he could probably pull that off for a little while, if anybody.
But the good thing is, I said this yesterday, I says, instead of using the crown, why don't you put like a robe type thing on Gunther? Because I feel like he could make that work.
Oh, absolutely. Like he could pull off the regality of being called king. Like I could see him doing that.
Yeah, I have to agree that totally. If Nia Jax wins, that would make her a member of a new. Really?
I mean, she has a tie to the bloodline, so I mean, I could see that. I doubt it, but I could see it.
Who knows? Who knows? We shall definitely see how this plays out. But to be quite honest with you, I've not even followed it. So I just wanted to get your thoughts on it a little bit.
I've kind of been 1 foot in, 1 foot out, to be honest with you. Like I said, the fact that they were doing matches at live events instead of on TV, it just kind of put me out of it. I kind of quit paying attention to it at that point, to be honest.
Yeah, that's so. So we'll obviously move along to AEW, and Malachi Black's contract situations obviously come to light. So during a recent edition of Fightful's Q&A podcast, Sean Ross Sapp addressed Malachi's contract status. When asked about it, Sapp confirmed that Black's contract is nearly extension time should AEW decide to pick it up. So the thing is, we know it's up for renewal, but there's no signs that he's looking to sign yet. What do we think?
It makes you wonder because, I mean, I know a couple of years ago he had that issue where supposedly he had asked for his release, according to reports. I don't know if that was ever verified, but then he ended up staying and coming back, and, the House of Black's been a thing. I don't know, man. I could see him going back to WWE, especially with Zelina Vega being there. I'm kind of 50-50 on this, whether he'll stay in AEW or he'll go to WWE. I do think that Triple H would probably use him more than Vince did if he went back as Aleister Black. But I don't know. I'm a big fan of the House of Black. I like that gimmick. I like the faction. I wish they would do more with them. I like this feud they're doing with Adam Copeland. I don't know, man. We'll just wait and see how it pans out here. But I'm kind of 50-50 on him staying or going.
Yeah, the thing is for me, I mean, I was a huge fan when he obviously joined AEW, and his debut was probably one of my favorites when he attacked Cody and stuff like that.
That was great.
And
It was a great debut. Yeah.
and then obviously joined the House of Black. I was really pumped for this because I like that type of thing, creepy, mysterious. This is why I'm a big fan of Bray Wyatt as well. But to see him and what AEW is doing with him, it's kind of frustrating for me as a fan.
Yeah. The problem that I have when people sign with AEW a lot of times is they just have such an enormously large roster that you get kind of lost in the shuffle. And like, I feel like Malachi Black is one of those that like, I used to joke that like the House of Black would show up once a month on AEW TV. You know, it's like they just don't have enough of a premium slot to be on every show, and they're good enough to be on every show. Like I would rather see House of Black than the Elite 10 times out of 10, if I'm just being honest. But that's never going to happen in AEW, unfortunately. But yeah, I would like to see more of him. I'd like to see him push more as a single star. I mean, he could still be the leader of the House of Black and go for one of the major singles titles. But which I mean, he is doing right now, but I don't think he's going to take the title from Adam Copeland. But I would like to see him have a singles title run in AEW. I think that would be great. I think he's good enough for it. And I've been a big proponent of him for a long time. I think he should be in the world title picture. I've always thought that.
No, I have to agree there. But the thing is, as well, you obviously Buddy Matthews and Brody King. I feel like they could obviously have a single runs as well. I feel like they're that good, in the ring.
Buddy Matthews is one of the most underrated, underutilized talents in the ring, period. I mean, he is absolutely amazing. He's in sick shape. His athleticism's off the charts. His moves look good. He sells well. Like, Buddy Matthews is a bona fide star. And I've felt this way about him ever since he was in WWE. And I want to see more done with him. Brody King's cool too. I do think he's overshadowed by Matthews and Black, but he's the heavy, like he's the heavy of the faction, which is never like the main star. So he fits that role pretty well. But yeah, Buddy Matthews is also very underutilized. Like I would love to see him get a title run in AEW because I think he's that good. I certainly like him better than someone like, Orange Cassidy. Like I'd rather Buddy Matthews do all the stuff Orange Cassidy does without the comedy shtick. Put these titles on him. He's insanely better than him, in my opinion.
No, I have to agree there totally. And that kind of leads me on to my next point. We were talking about yesterday with this whole thing with Trent and stuff like that. Just as a discussion as a whole, what do you think? Because I'm kind of mixed feelings about this. Some parts I do like, but then some parts I'm like, this is just really I can't get behind it as a fan.
I'm not a Best Friends fan. Like I just don't really like them. Never have. I don't like Orange Cassidy very much. I think Trent's just Trent is just I got everybody mad at me about this one time, but I'll just say it again. Trent is like just your average basic indie style worker, small guy with a beard that you could pluck out of any indie promotion in like 2010. I mean, I just don't think there's anything special about the guy. I don't think he sucks or anything, but I don't think there's anything special about him. And, it's sad what happened with Chuck Taylor. If he's legitimately injured and he has to retire, that really sucks. I mean, I was never really personally a fan of the guy, even though he's from Kentucky, but, I hate to see the fact that he's hurt and has to give up his profession. Hopefully those guys will take care of him. I think he's in pretty well with the Elite and all those guys, so maybe he'll get a backstage role. But yeah, I don't really care about the storyline, to be honest with you. I've never been a fan of any of these guys to begin with, so it just doesn't really do anything for me.
Yeah, like I said, I know fans have got mixed about it. Some parts I like, some parts I don't, but I just wanted to get your thoughts on it. Next thing we've got is, you mentioned injuries there. So the ROH Women's Champion Athena has reportedly sustained an injury during ROH's proportion of last night's AEW Collision tapings. According to PW Insider, Athena suffered the injury during a spot which saw her charge through the middle ropes, landing on outside the ring, and was seen limping when she returned to the ring.
Yeah, that sucks, man. The AEW injury list is like a mile long. Like I think and I don't know the nature of her injury, or I didn't see it, or I don't watch Ring of Honor, so I don't know. But you know, they've got to start reeling in these matches a little bit. You know, quit doing such over the top things, and because everybody's getting hurt. Like every show, somebody's getting hurt, and like we've got to nip this in the bud and get under control a little bit. I mean, this happens at WWE too, but it seems to be more prevalent in AEW because I just think that they work a more balls to the wall, kind of reckless style in the ring a lot of times. I think somebody needs to teach them that less is more in the ring. And because I mean, these injuries, they can't keep happening like this. And I feel bad for her because she's a great talent. I always hated that she was just sandbagged in Ring of Honor. Like I would much rather her be in the AEW women's division and the title scene there because she's really good. And I would like to see more of her, but she's behind that paywall and nobody watches Ring of Honor outside of like probably 10,000 people. So it's unfortunate.
I mean, let's face it, Ring of Honor's AEW is like developmental in a way.
Yeah, I mean, Ring of Honor is essentially NXT for AEW. I mean, that's essentially what it is. Which is fine. I mean, I think there's definitely a place for that. I just don't think that the marquee names should be wrestling exclusively in Ring of Honor. I think Athena, I think we should see more of her in AEW because I think she's really good.
Yeah, absolutely.
Does this mean Athena is going to let go of the ROH women's title? I don't know. I mean, I guess it just depends on the nature of the injury and how long she's going to be out. I understand what AEW is doing, but they need to release some people that they haven't used or don't know what to do with. Yeah, I mean, I don't want to be the guy to be like, these people should lose their jobs. I'm not that guy, but like, they do have a very bloated roster. Very, very bloated. Which, I mean, is fine as long as, you know, those people still get to work indies on the weekends. So, you know, I mean, it's good for them. But for the company itself, I can't see how it's profitable for them to just keep all these people under contract and barely ever use them. Like, that's strange to me. I mean, I don't get it. I don't have a business degree or anything. Tony Khan is a mega billionaire, so he can afford it. But, you know, I think a lot of people get lost in the shuffle with their business model.
Yeah, I think the thing is, over time, we will slowly see that roster, like, slowly, like, you know, a bit smaller and smaller. I mean, how many times have we seen it where, oh, so-and-so's not on the roster page, then you find out that person's been released? I mean, the last list when I remember is Ethan Page.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of those, a lot of the early AEW hires, you know, like the Sunny Kisses and Joey Janela's and, you know, those guys are just, I mean, they were good for what they were at the time, but, you know, when Tony started getting his hands on more marquee names and bigger names from Japan and bigger names from WWE, you know, a lot of those guys are just kind of being pushed out. And I mean, it's just business, you know, like it's not, I mean, I feel bad for them, but, you know, it's business and it just is what it is. And it's something that's a necessary component to running a wrestling organization. Like he's getting bigger names from bigger places now, and he needs to make sure he's got spots for them. I mean, you know, I love the fact that he brought in Okada. I love the fact that he brought in Mercedes. I think that you know, Ospreay coming in, you know, he's making some good moves, but you know, when those guys come in, some of the guys at the lower tier and girls have gotta go. Make room.
And and Bully Ray says it best all the time. It's the nature of the beast, unfortunately.
I mean, it's just business, man. I mean, you know, pro wrestling is a temporary profession. I mean, it just is. I mean, Dana White says this about MMA and the UFC, and he's spot on. He says this is not a career. Like, this is an opportunity. This is something you could do, something you can make money at, but you're not going to be doing this as a career. You're not going to be doing this till you're 70 years old and retire with a pension. Pro wrestling's the same way. And I feel like, unfortunately, a lot of people don't view it that way. I think it's a temporary profession. I think you get in, you make your money, and then you get out and do something else with the money you acquired from wrestling. I think that's what a lot of the smart people do. People that have spent significant amount of years in WWE or whatever, save up money, and then they'll start a fitness gym in their hometown or something, or get into real estate, and then they're financially secure the rest of their life with the money they got from wrestling. But it's not feasible to think that you're going to be a professional wrestler till you're 65. It's just not. So I don't know what your thoughts are on that, but I think that these guys and girls in this business, they need to view it that way. Like, this is not a permanent profession. This is just something you're doing until the next stage of your life.
No, I think that's a great way to look at it, actually. To look at it in a way, I didn't actually look at it that actual way. So you kind of opened my eyes a little bit on that one.
Yeah. I mean, it is what it is, man. I mean, your body can only take so much. I mean, and there are people that, you don't want to be the Rock and Roll Express and out there wrestling matches in high school gyms when you're in your 60s. I mean, I don't know what kind of financial situation those guys have, but you just don't want to be doing that. It's not a good look.
Not at all, not at all. So I want to end on obviously something positive. And 2 interviews, obviously, I've recently done. We've got a couple of little things for them. So Scott Bell, obviously a referee who I have interviewed. I just want to wish this man good luck because he's wrestling. He's a referee, by the way, and he's wrestling in his first match at the end of the month. So I just want to give a massive shout out to that. Good luck on that score.
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
I know this is something he's been wanting to do for a while and stuff like that. So Scott, you might not be listening. You might, I don't know, mate, but good luck on that. I know it's something you've been wanting to do, and I wish you nothing but the best. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely, man. Strap that rocket ship to your back and fly to the moon, brother.
And the other one is, yes, and of course the other one, and I think I said to you this week, I had a little surprise for you to coming up on the 1st of next month. Do you want to tell people what this is?
Kirstie Love's coming back, right?
She is. So this is something we've been talking about for a while, saying we're going to get her back on, for an actual show.
Yeah, for anybody that didn't see this, we probably talked to her. It's probably about a year ago, I guess.
Yeah.
She's a professional wrestler in the UK. Women independent wrestler over there, and I mean, she was very delightful. Like, she was fun to have. She was insightful. She has a strong knowledge of Japanese wrestling and strong style in general. She's a big fan of that. And we had a good conversation with her. I thought it was fantastic. And I look forward to having her back on. And we're just going to, I guess, just shoot the shit about current wrestling. And that should be pretty fun.
Absolutely. So Kirstie will obviously be here on the 1st of June. As I said, I know Mr. Rise has been on about it for a few times. So this week I reached out to her, got a date booked, and she's on this show at the 1st of June. Yep. So it's not next week, it's week after.
Awesome. So it'll be interesting to pick her brain about some of the stuff going on lately.
It is, and then, like I said, it's been a year. I think it's roughly about a year that we was supposed to, because it's the second interview we ever did.
Yeah, it's got to be about a year ago. Yeah, roughly, give or take.
Yeah, but like I said, Jonas, for that we've got loads of stuff in the pipeline. So that's the news out of the way. Shall we do this?
Yep, let's do it.
Main event time.
The main event.
Got to get that quarter there, pal. Oh dear. So today's show is obviously about promos or promo people in wrestling. So what we wanted to do is spread a bit of love. Do you know what I mean? From people from the UK, from the US, and I kind of brought this idea to you, and you basically. You essentially did what I did, and you went, let's do this. I'm like, boom, let's do it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think it's an interesting topic. We could discuss who we think is our favorite promo givers of today and kind of discuss, what we think about it, what we like about it, what we don't like about it, and how it fits in the grand scheme of the wrestling landscape as a whole right now. I think it's pretty exciting.
Yeah, as you mentioned, obviously, at the intro, US is obviously big, obviously, on promos. We do obviously promos in the UK, but we're not as big on it, so it was kind of difficult to pick 5. So I've got obviously a lot of honorable mentions at the end, but I picked 5. We've got a couple of little clips to play from certain ones and stuff like that, so it's going to be an interesting one.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
So these are in no particular order, Mr. Isaac. So the top 5 on the list is yours. You can do them in any order you want.
All right. Well, I'm going to start with the guy who is kind of the biggest star right now in professional wrestling. I think you could all probably guess who it is. When you talk about Americans, I guess you have to talk about the American Nightmare himself, Cody Rhodes. Now, Cody has not always been my favorite promo.
Mhm.
I did not like his promos in AEW very much. I thought he was very self-serving. It made the fans boo him. He got that kind of John Cena heat. And he just constantly tried to build himself up, and the fans rejected him, and it just wasn't good. He had those weird promos with Brandy, who was absolutely awful. And it just wasn't good. But like when he left and went back to WWE, and the whole chase of the title and finish the story and all that became like a catchphrase, the guy started doing amazing work. And the fans rallied around him, and he's kind of that white meat baby face that you really just don't see much in wrestling anymore. Most top baby faces in wrestling kind of have a slight, dare I say, a slight heelish bent to them.
Mhm.
You don't see a lot of just what they would call traditionally the white meat baby face, just the all totally good baby face. But Cody is that. You know, Cody's kind of a throwback to that era. And he's been very successful with it, and his promos have been really getting over with the fan base. And I think he's doing a fantastic job. I will say that I hate the way he starts promos now. I hate so what do you want to talk about? I hate that shit.
Is that your Cody impression?
It is. Like, I hate that shit. Like, if he would just strike that one line out of his promos, they would be perfect. But I think he's been killing it. I think he's been doing a fantastic job. What do you think of my pick of Cody Rhodes?
The thing is, I didn't mind his AEW ones, but I think you're absolutely right. His WWE ones do speak for themselves. And the one thing I like about Cody when he's delivering promos is his passion. Do you know what I mean? You can tell, you can feel what he's saying and stuff like that. The only gripe I've got with his promos is when he gets like emotional stuff like that. Now, I will be honest, I'm not against emotions and stuff like that, but when it's constantly in promos, it does get a little bit too much.
It can be excessive. I mean, you have to draw a fine line. I think he's gotten right up to the point of being excessive and then stopping. So to me, it's been fine. But like, yeah, I definitely I see what you're saying. It can be overdone. You know, I'm Dusty Rhodes' son, and he's not here anymore, and I'm gonna make him proud, and I'm gonna cry, and that does get a little old from time to time, but the fans are eating it up, though. I mean, you can't deny that. Like, he's getting huge reactions. I mean, he is like the star of professional wrestling right now, and I think it's because of his promo ability and his presentation since he came back to WWE.
Now, I can see why you've obviously put him on this list, and I think it's a solid pick. Like I said, the only gripe I've got is the crying side, but his promos are great. You can feel the emotions, you know what he's saying and stuff like that. So, yeah, I mean, for me, I can't complain.
At least Brandy's not there anymore.
Yeah,
God's sake,
okay.
Brandy. Oh, I'm sure she's a nice lady and she's very good looking. But my God, her on the microphone in AEW was absolute cringe. It was awful.
Yeah, absolutely. I have to agree. Sorry, I thought we were elaborating on that. That's why I'm like, okay. But yeah, I didn't like her as well. But okay, moving on. Now, this next one for me, this is number 5 on my list. I asked a couple of people, obviously friends and stuff like that, saying, who do you think should be on my list? Because I had a roughly list, and this name kept cropping up every single time. And I'm thinking, okay, let's see what his promo's like. And I just want to point out as well, I've had the privilege of talking to this guy as well. It's Nathan Cruz. Now, Nathan's probably one of the biggest veterans, in the UK and stuff like that. So he's been around a bit. He's got the experience. He's trained a lot of up-and-coming people. And yeah, I like the anger. I don't know if you've seen any of the people I sent you or not.
I have not, no.
No, okay, that's absolutely fine. But I love the passion. Again, this is one thing that's just good throughout. So what I've actually managed to do is I get a little clip here. It's an audio clip. I was going to play the video, but there's that thing called copyright.
Yeah, play the audio. I want to hear this guy.
So I'll just play this up to explain what's happening. So he's just come back from like a big vacation, and he's basically arguing with management. Have a listen.
The hell is this? Do you have any idea who I am? This is a goddamn Astra. I'm Nathan Cruz. I'm the star of NGW, and you got me driving around in this piece of crap.
You know it was the best I could do at the short notice, Nathan.
I don't care about short notice, Rich. I'm the star of NGW, and I deserve to be riding around in class, okay? I came all the way from California, and this is what I'm riding around in.
I know, Nathan.
Rich, you've pissed me off for the last time here.
That's proper British, that, isn't it?
I like it. I like it. Yeah, I like the. I assume, does he work as a heel? I assume.
He does both, weirdly.
Yeah. Well, I thought that was fantastic. Like that was just a really cool, like, you know, do you know who I am? I'm the man around here. You know, like I thought that was cool. I like that.
Yeah, absolutely terrific. And like I said, and Nathan's obviously part of many shows I go to. I've spoke to the guy. For me, one of the nicest. He's a nice guy to talk to, but imagine in the ring, it's a different story.
Well, what was he carrying in that picture? Well, they have like an axe on him or something.
Let me just find out for you.
Bring that picture back. Yeah, he's got like a bird axe or something like that, or shovel or something.
So it's
pretty
like an
cool.
axe. It's like a spear type thing, but that actual logo is for Progress Wrestling.
Oh yes, that is the Progress logo, isn't it? That's right.
So well
It just
spotted,
looked cool. I like that. I wanted to see it again.
man. Okay, so back to you.
All right. So back on the American side of the equation, this guy, controversial. I'm sure people are probably gonna like, you know, whine and cry because I'm putting him on my list, but he's been a great promo for many, many years. That's CM Punk. I mean, what can you say? Like, CM Punk is one of the all-time greats at cutting a promo. I mean, he just is. You know, I know he's controversial, whether you like the guy, whether you hate the guy, whatever. The guy's gold on the microphone. Now, here lately, I don't feel like he's been given the best promos because he just doesn't really have much to do. You know, he's injured. And I mean, how many times could he just come out and be like, Drew McIntyre, you suck, and I'm going to fight you when I come back? You know, like, how many times can he say that? So I don't think we've really seen a whole lot here lately from him, and it's been very good. But when you talk about American promo givers that are still active in professional wrestling, you'd be remiss not to put CM Punk on your list. The pipe bomb promo, you know, I love the counterfeit Bucks promo he did at AEW. Like, he's had some amazing moments on the microphone, and you just can't deny that, whether you like him or hate him. Well, what are your thoughts on Punk?
I think he's absolutely great on the mic. The one thing I like about Punk, and you might agree with this, is that unpredictability. You got to think in AEW that he's writing his own promos, and knowing Punk like we did, I was always on edge because I'm thinking, oh my God, what is he going to say here? Do you know what I mean?
Oh yeah, especially when the whole like brawl out thing happened and everything. Like, you just knew that like he was going to get on the mic and say something. You know, and he dropped the counterfeit Bucks line and everything, kind of as a little subliminal shot. He's just somebody that he's not gonna hide his feelings. And if he has some shoot feelings about something, he's gonna let it bleed through. But I've said this on this program many times since I've been a co-host here. Real legitimate problems and heat is money.
Yep.
It absolutely is. It's money. So if you have a legitimate gripe or grievance against somebody, bring it out, because it's not going to seem fake when you talk about it, because it's real. It's going to feel real because it is real. And Punk has always been really good at straddling that line of shoot versus work. And I've always been a big fan of real legitimate issues being brought on TV because it just sells and it feels real. And Punk's always been great at that.
Yeah, the thing is, I feel like in WWE, we're not going to see that edginess because obviously the WWE itself, even though I think Undertaker mentioned that they are doing edgier stuff. So I think if Punk can write his own promos, I feel like this could be really, really good in WWE.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it just, hopefully they don't overscript him when he comes back. Now, I have my doubts about whether or not Punk's even going to be healthy enough to have a long WWE career. Because it does seem like every time the guy comes back and wrestles one match, he's hurt for 6 months. So I don't know. I kind of don't think he's going to have a long WWE tenure. I hope he does, but I kind of don't think that he will. But I hope we at least get some good promos out of it.
Absolutely. So I agree with Punk on promos, but wrestling wise, no.
Yeah, I mean, Punk wouldn't be on my top list of workers, like just in ring work for Americans right now. But I got to put him on there for promos. Tiffany says Punk is actually my all-time favorite on the microphone. Yeah, and Noob brings up the infamous pipe bomb promo. I mean, you can't go wrong with Punk.
Not at all. So I've actually got a clip here. I was just double checking. This is from this recently when he claims he was the best in the world. Have a quick listen just to give you guys a little insight.
You guys understand that I got to be me, right? And lately, I've been feeling a little bit more like myself ever since Saturday, which was a career highlight for me. I've been trying to come up with the words and the language to explain to all of you exactly how I feel. And I've come to two words, and I'm afraid to say them, honestly. And it's not because they're not true. It's because I'm a little bit scared of how true they actually are. And it's a little bit corny, and it's a little bit cheesy, and it's not going to sound like CM Punk. But I've changed.
What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I like it. What did he say after that? I can't remember, but I've changed.
It's either change or I'm home. I think it was something along them lines.
Yeah, I mean, he's just when he's on the mic, his cadence, his emotion, what he's saying, it just captivates you, and you hang on to every word. Even if you hate the guy, the haters still hang on every word he says. Let's be clear here. And I mean, it's just the mark of a great promo giver. You know, you love the guy, you hang on his words. You hate the guy, you hang on his words. But you always want to hear what he has to say.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, yeah, I mean, your two picks are absolutely solid. And this next one is, I think this one on my list, obviously, you do know who this guy actually is. Again, this name was battered around as well. This is obviously the big star. It's, of course, Drew McIntyre, which I thought was interesting because some people like his promos, some people don't. But I think it's the accent. I've got to be honest, I feel like his accent, the way he delivers promos and stuff like that, really, stand out for me. I mean, are you a big fan?
I am, yeah. Like, I used to be pretty indifferent on Drew McIntyre. Like, when he was the NXT champion and everything, I was just like, I don't really see the big deal in this guy. I didn't care much for him at Impact. But since he's come back to WWE and, you know, been a main eventer and has been cutting promos, I think he's been so good. And I think this heel run that he's been on, I think he has really come out of his shell. And his promos have gone from mediocre to fantastic. Like, I love it. This guy, it's like he developed a personality overnight. Like, he always had the look, but he didn't have the personality. And I think he's got it now. And I'm a big fan of Drew McIntyre. I think he's fantastic. And this feud he's got, this war of words back and forth with Punk, I think is phenomenal. I'm a fan. I like him, and I think he's a good person to be on your list for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, like I said, a lot of people give me a lot of input on this, and this name obviously battered as well. So yeah, I'm a huge fan of Drew. There's not really much we can say about Drew because a lot of people know who he is. A lot of people seen his work. So yeah, Drew McIntyre's on my list. Next up from yours?
I think he's got to be the promo star of the UK right now, especially just for notoriety, because he's a household name in the wrestling world.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Next one on my list, this guy, I feel like, completely reinvented himself on the main roster. And his promo ability and his presentation just really, really, really put him over the top from an absolute shit gimmick that he had before. That's LA Knight. Good old Eli Drake, LA Knight, is phenomenal on the microphone. I mean, the guy can spit a promo and just makes it sound so believable. And when he first came to the roster, he was saddled with that stupid Max Dupree gimmick, which was just absolutely awful. It wasn't him. It was terrible. And he just couldn't make it work because it was just, there's only so much you could do with a lump of shit, right?
Yep.
But when Vince finally got removed or left or whatever, and Triple H took over creative, that was when we saw him revert back to the LA Knight personality that he had in NXT, and which is basically his Eli Drake character. And just absolutely phenomenal. Like, he comes out, cuts a promo, he looks like a tough guy, he sounds like a tough guy, and he just gets over. Like, the crowd absolutely loves the guy. And to me, LA Knight is kind of a throwback.
Mm-hmm.
I know people call him an Attitude Era ripoff, and I'm going to explain and address why I think they call him that. Because the Attitude Era, and arguably some of the Ruthless Aggression era, was the last time in wrestling that we really had like guys that looked and sounded and talked like ass kickers.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you just don't see that a lot today. And I think that's the reason why people say that they think he's an Attitude Era knockoff, because he's a jacked guy. He's tough. He gets on the microphone. He sounds cocky. He's condescending to the people that he's going against, talking about how he's going to kick their ass. And he just comes across as cool. And that's just not been the standard promo in professional wrestling for the past decade or so. I mean, it just hasn't. I mean, it's just, we see a lot of promos of like, well, I thought you were my friend, and now you're not my friend. You know, and like now we've got like an old school alpha male type. I'm gonna come out here and I'm gonna beat your ass and blah blah blah. You know, it's cool. It's legitimately cool. It's a throwback, but it's a throwback that we desperately need in professional wrestling today. And this guy went from being nobody to being one of the most over people in the company. You know, he's a jack dude. He's not going to blow the door off the hinges wrestling wise, but he doesn't have to. That's not his role. His role is to just come across as a legitimate tough guy. And I think his look, his presentation, and his promos put him in that level. I'm a big fan of the guy. I think he's fantastic.
Absolutely. And the thing is he's got one of the best catchphrases ever. And I never thought the word "yeah" would get so over with fans, let's be honest.
Oh, yeah, man. Like, he's just, you know, Noob talks about, you know, his promo in NWA. Yeah, he did some great promo work in NWA. I remember him. Didn't he have like the Eli Drake show or something on Impact when he was a heel? Like, he always did really well with that, too. I mean, this guy's just a trailblazer on the microphone. He's fantastic. And I'm glad to see the guys getting some success. You know, I'm pretty sure he's the same age as me. He's 40 years old. So he's peaking incredibly, incredibly late, but at least he's peaking. I'm glad he's getting his moment in the sun.
We've got a little clip here, guys, so let's have a listen. There.
Let me talk to you. All of a sudden, LA Knights everywhere, huh? Yeah. Everybody wants to use my name. Everybody on the internet wants to use my name to get views and clicks.
I love that how that actually built up. I didn't listen to that one back, so I wished I did.
Yeah, that was a lot of build up there, but yeah, the way he just has the crowd in the palm of his hand when he speaks is just, it's brilliant. It's great. It's star quality. The dude's a star.
Can you actually? The one thing I like about that actual clip we just played there is you love the crowd involvement, but that's not just a one-off. That's like every single time you see him.
Oh yeah, he gets that kind of pop every single time he comes out. Like, I love the fact that, you know, he's WWE, and I don't feel like people give them enough credit. You know, people are just like, oh, WWE sucks. I'm an AEW fan, but one thing WWE does that nobody else can replicate is the overall look and feel. Like, they gave him this music. He's got the name LA Knight. They gave him this music that sounds like 1990s West Coast hip hop, like something you would hear coming out of Los Angeles, hence the name LA Knight. So when that music hits and this guy named LA Knight comes out, it's just the little nuanced things like that. To me, the production value of WWE just really helps people get over. And yeah, I mean, the pop that he gets is tremendous.
Absolutely. LA Knight's absolutely solid on your pick. This next one, she did obviously a lot of work in NXT UK, so you might remember, you might not. So we know her as Lizzie Evo, but you might know her as Eliza Alexander.
I've heard the name.
So this, for me, this person is probably one of the best heels females in the UK right now. Every single time, even she's great in the ring. She works the crowd so well. And the one thing a lot of people like, and I spoke to many fans as well, is that she's got this character down to a T. She knows what she's doing. She works the crowd really well. And her promo's absolutely great. I mean, I don't know if you managed to check any of her stuff out.
I have not. Do you have a clip of her?
Of course I do. Now, this is one of my favorite clips, so I would excuse it a little bit. So I'll build this up. So it was after a match, and two people decided to try and pick on her by saying some nasty things. And she kind of, here you go.
Here for a quick minute, please, if you don't mind. Got, whoa!
Slut?
Oh, loser! And a slut!
And a slut. Unlike her, huh?
I'm a princess. I'm a virgin.
Princess and a virgin, unlike you, who lost her virginity when she was 10. Oh! 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 Oh!
Wait till you'll know the voice.
Oh! You lost! You loser!
You're a loser, aren't you? You're losing all the time, you losing loser fuck.
You know what though, Alexis Falcon? At least I don't fucking degrade myself.
Slut.
In fact, I'll tell you what, don't fucking come out here.
Hey, what?
Yeah.
Go.
Yeah, and as for you, you little fucking bitch, don't fuck with me. I am sick and tired of you walking around here thinking you own this shit. You don't own nothing, and there's a reason you're still fucking champion, because I don't give a fuck about you. Carry on, and we'll have a fucking problem. Don't get in my face again.
You sound like you enjoyed that one.
I think that's the most stereotypical British shit talk that you can. No, that was great. Dude, the hecklers are like fucking brutal, man. Like
they are actually other wrestlers as well. I just want to point that out. They're not actual fans, by the way.
Right. I mean, you could tell with the audio quality and everything that wasn't just like fans. It was like somebody playing the part. Like, you just fucking suck. You lost your virginity when you were 10, you dumb bitch. It's like, geez, what a hardcore crowd here.
But the accent really makes it. I think that's one of her big traits, is obviously her accent. But the way she delivers it, I mean, when she's fired up, I mean, that's the type of stuff you get. I mean, you can't get any better than that, right?
I love that. I could listen to that on loop, man. Like I said, like that is like the quintessential like British shit talk. Like I love it.
I'll send you the actual video.
Cunt.
I'll send you the actual video clip after the show.
Yeah, please do. I like to check that out.
Dear. So right then, number 4 on your list.
All right. This one is somebody we haven't seen too much of here lately, but when I thought of Americans who cut good promos, this guy came to mind. Even though we don't see a lot of them right now due to injury, but it's Adam Cole, baby. I have always been a fan of Adam Cole's promos. I think he's good on the microphone. He's articulate. His heel promos is like a cocky heel. Dating back to Ring of Honor when he was the world champion and he'd wear a suit and carry around the title belt, and almost had, dare I say, a little bit of like Ric Flair, Shawn Michaels-esque aura about him back then. I always thought he was fantastic at cutting the swarmy, smart-ass heel promo. I've just always been a big fan of his work. He can cut a good babyface promo too, but I think he really works well as a heel. On the microphone, I love Adam Cole on the mic as a heel. But what do you think about him?
So this is the first one where me and you're going to have to a little bit disagree here because I don't like him as a heel, personally.
Really?
It just doesn't connect with me as a fan.
Well, let
And
me ask
obviously-
you this.
Okay.
Did you watch him in Ring of Honor like a decade ago?
I did not.
Okay. Like he was phenomenal as a heel back then, as the Ring of Honor World Champion. So that's mostly what I think of. And then of course he did really well with the Undisputed Era in NXT when he was like the top heel there as well. Yeah, I love his heel work. I think he's fantastic. I think he's great at getting the crowd to boo him. I'm just a big fan of him on the mic, but I mean, he can cut a good babyface promo too. I mean, just in general, do you like Adam Cole on the mic?
I do like him as a babyface. I will point that out. I do like that. Just for some reason, it doesn't connect with me as a heel, and that's what obviously this podcast is about. Do you know what I mean? We're never going to agree on everything, but I didn't obviously watch his Ring of Honor work, so I can't really comment on that. But just from what I've seen in AEW, I prefer him as a babyface personally.
Yeah, well, I mean, he's become kind of like a internet darling over the past few years too. So it's like, you know, he got the big pop, and everybody wanted him to be a babyface when he first came out in AEW. So that's understandable. But yeah, I mean, the guy's just phenomenal on the microphone, whether he's a babyface or a heel. You know, story time with Adam Cole, baby. The crowd pops huge. You know, Shane says here NXT Cole was great. Yeah. I mean, when he was a heel in NXT, he was fantastic. The guy's he's gold on the microphone, man. It just sucks that where he's been injured, we just haven't seen much of him. I would have liked to have heard more of him expound upon, you know, him being the devil and turning on MJF, but he's injured, MJF's injured, and that whole thing just kind of turned to shit. But you know, I would have liked to have seen what had happened if those two had stayed healthy and could have continued on after December.
Absolutely, absolutely. So I've got number 4 on my list. You might know this guy, you might not. It was obviously, again, it was mentioned to me, Zach Gibson. Now, he's obviously done a lot work for NXT UK. The thing is about Zach is I like these type of promos where you can feel the passion, you can feel the anger. He's got something you know to talk about. I don't want to spend too much time on this one because the next one's obviously my biggest. But yeah, I mean, for me, everyone said this guy's promos are on fire, on point, and this was their number 1. Do you know what I mean? Stuff like that. But for me, go check him out. Do you know what I mean? One of the best guys I've obviously seen, stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, I don't know if you can add to that.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with him. Do you have a clip that you can share of him?
I do not, unfortunately. I tried to get like small clips, and I think the biggest clip he had was like 9 minutes long. I'm like, no, we haven't got that long.
Yeah, I can't really do a 9-minute clip, but you know, what is this guy? Does he work babyface? Does he work heel?
I think it's no one who does both. The one thing I want to point out with the British type thing is people can obviously, you know, work both heel and face. A lot of people work. I mean, prime example is Lizzie. She can obviously work heel, and she's got it down to a T. She can work a babyface as well, but a lot of fans recognize it, you know, as a heel.
I think it's kind of an indie wrestling thing in general. And, you know, like most of the British scene is independent. It's like, well, I'm going to work heel here one night, and then the next night I'm going to work over here, and I'm going to be a babyface. I think that's just kind of like an indie thing, really.
Yeah. Do you remember when we talked to Kirsty Levin? She said that she's a heel in one place, and she's obviously a good guy in another. She said it's kind of challenging.
Yeah, it's got to be. Because, like, especially, like, you know, there's some cross-pollination there with the fans. So, like, if a fan sees you when you're working a heel, and then next weekend you're working somewhere else as a babyface, and if that same fan shows up, they're going to be a little confused. like, am I supposed to cheer you? Am I supposed to boo you? We even see this in AEW. Like, here's one thing I noticed, and this is random, but I noticed that sometimes when someone works in AEW and then they go work an independent show, they'll flip from babyface to heel. Like it's really weird how that happens. But like I've seen people work like an AEW show and then they go and work like a GCW show and they're a heel on AEW. But like Nick Wayne is the example I was thinking of. Nick Wayne obviously is a heel in AEW, but I saw him WrestleMania weekend work a GCW show as a babyface.
Hmm.
Like, it's just weird. It's like, bro, you're on national TV as a heel. Like, I think you should stay a heel whenever you wrestle in the Indies.
Do you know, next time I talk to obviously a big wrestler, I'm going to ask him about that, saying, is it easy to juggle being a face and a heel? Because I'm actually kind of curious to see how that comes about.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's catch up on these comments a little bit here. Shane says, my U.S. wrestler for best promo is Rick Rude. Yeah, we kept it to current wrestlers instead of all time. If it was all time, my list would be completely different.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Punk might still be on it, but probably not. I mean, I'd probably have some different people, but yeah, Rick Rude was absolutely phenomenal. Marty Scurll, yeah, he's one of those guys that's just kind of like persona non grata nowadays.
Yeah, we never talk about that guy.
I mean, his wife wrestles at AEW, but you know, everybody just pretends that he doesn't exist. So.
There you go. Right then, so we'll catch one of the comments, then we'll get to number 5 on your list.
All right, number 5 on my list. Now, this, as far as promo cutters go, is my absolute favorite on this list. This guy is a star. This guy is a throwback to what wrestling needs, keeping kayfabe alive. This guy is, God willing, if he stays healthy, this guy's going to go down as one of the greatest of all time. Maxwell Jacob Friedman, MJF. I mean, what can you say about MJF on the microphone? Absolutely tremendous. As a heel, just so great. That's that cocky, arrogant, I'm better than you, I'm rich heel. But then he had this babyface run, and he was phenomenal at that too. Like, his babyface promos were absolutely terrific. This guy is gold. You put a microphone in front of this guy, and he's going to draw money. I'm a huge fan of him, both in the ring and on the mic. And I mean, what can you say? MJF is just the best. He's the best promo on my list by far.
I've got to be honest, this guy's obviously reinvented Joe, the typical heel and stuff like that. I mean, even his parents are going on a podcast saying how much their son is actually a dick. I mean, that says it all, doesn't it, to be honest?
Yeah, he kayfabe feuds with his parents. like his mom talks shit about him on Twitter. Like, it's fantastic.
But yeah, I mean, you're absolutely right. I mean, the heel thing speaks for itself. It's absolutely terrific. And again, I mean, I didn't think it'd work as obviously as babyface, but it worked. Do you know what I mean? It literally did work. It was really surprising with that one for me. And of course, I've got a little bit of a clip here. Let's have a listen, shall we?
Oh, yes.
Congrats, Jay White, you pinned me. It only took every single person in your entire stable to catch me off guard so you can hit me with your finisher. My God, Jay White, you're so talented. You're so talented. You know what I think, Jay White? I think you've been in this sport twice as long as me, and you are twice as stupid. Do you actually think you're on my level because you pinned me? Because you stole my belt? You're a pretender. You're an actor. I'm the star. I make you famous. Go on Google Trends, dipshit. Type in your name, then type in mine, and see what happens. You're a straight line. I'm a pyramid because I'm at the tippy top of this sport. I'm at the pinnacle. You're a nobody in my world. And at Full Gear, November 18th, I'm going to prove that I'm better than you. And you know it.
I just want to point out the one thing I like about MJF as well is, like we talked about how to start a promo. I mean, that guy's phrase at the end really works every single time.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the cadence, the rhythm, the tone of his voice, not stumbling over any word, the inflection, flawless. I mean, just absolutely flawless. Like, if you want a A+ promo, give a microphone to MJF and he'll give you one. I mean, it's pretty much all there is to say about it.
I would say one thing: if he does go to WWE, I feel like scripted promos for him would not work. I mean, for me personally, I feel like if you just give him a microphone, like you mentioned there, and just let him shoot, I feel like that'll draw more.
See, I feel like if WWE does poach him away from AEW, I think that they would let him be a slightly toned down version of himself. I mean, they won't let him say quite as incendiary of things as he did in AEW. Hell, when they go to Netflix, who the hell knows? They might let him say whatever. But Yeah, I don't think they would dull him down too much. But yeah, wherever this guy goes, he's going to be a star. He's going to be a major asset.
Absolutely.
And I was going to mention, Shane says he's like a modern day Flair. That promo right there reminded me of prime Ric Flair from the 80s. Like that's what that promo reminded me of. The yelling, the voice, the not stumbling over his words, the confidence oozing through the television. Yeah. I mean, this guy's prime Ric Flair. I mean, dare I say he might be better on the mic than prime Ric Flair.
Yeah, the other thing I want to point out as well is I've just thought about that as you were talking. I remember the interview you did with obviously one of your friends who met MGF, and I'm sure somebody obviously at the meet and greet said that you're paying for the MGF experience, and I'm like, that just says it all, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I mean, for those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, for those of you kind of newer to the community, I have a friend that did a meet and greet with MJF, and there was like a viral photo because like he like flicked my friend's kid in the groin, and then they snapped a picture, and it was a funny ha thing that was all over the internet. But I brought my friend on to discuss that. You can find it in the archives here in Effin Wrestling. We had a whole conversation about what the experience was like meeting MJF. And it's like, yeah, I mean, they basically tell you up front, this guy's a dick. He's in character. And you just need to know what you're signing up for. But he details what it was like, you know, going up to the table, talking to him, what he said to him, MJF signing the action figure and tossing it across the room, you know, MJF insulting people. I mean, it's legit. So go back and listen to that in the archives if you haven't. It was a fun conversation.
I'll tell you what we'll do. For people that want to watch it, we'll put it in the description of this video so you can go check it out.
It was a good conversation. It was the only solo, well, not the only, but it was one of the only solo podcasts that I've ever done here on Effin Wrestling. And I mean, it was good. It was a good conversation. And, you know, we kind of outline all the details of it. So if you're curious, check it out in the archives.
Absolutely. So we've got one more on my list. Now, you mentioned obviously MGF. Now, this person, when we said promos, this person for me is absolutely number one. He's not a face. He's always a heel. He's always a dick, by the way. And this guy got a 5-star rating match from me when I saw him live against Harley Hudson. And of course, I'm talking about Spike Trivet. I mean, this guy is absolutely terrific on the mic. Is like the, I'm not saying he's on par, but it's like the MGF, but from the UK scene. He's always a dick in the ring. He's absolutely terrific in the ring. He's obviously, I think, something like so many days as Progress champion. And one of my absolute favorite feuds, and people who know me know about this, Spike Trivet versus Cara Noir. Go with the promos on that; they're absolutely terrific, and he's obviously a big part of that. And yeah, I mean, I cannot speak highly about this absolute guy. He's an asshole in the ring. He's an asshole in promos. So I've got a little clip as always. This is from Progress. Have a little listen, see what you think. So let me find it.
Do you remember me? I swore that when I was done, we would never see anything like the Black Swan in Progress ever again, and I made good on that promise. However, for those of you who would think that yesterday was the end of the process, you have no imagination. I would like to invite Thomas Dawkins into the arena. When you rejected my request to have that title shot, I thought, how can I get to Cara Noir? What does Tom Dawkins hate more than anything else in the world? He hates Tom Dawkins.
I mean, the build-up he does in promos, I mean, that's just one prime example. There's absolutely tons of them, but he's a typical heel. Do you know what I mean? I absolutely love his promo work, and one of my favorite matches is obviously Spike versus Cara, and it's like the rights to be Cara Noir. It's kind of complicated with Progress, and my God, that guy puts on an absolute show. So for me, my number one pick is Spike Trivet.
So is he the top guy in Progress right now?
He's obviously recently lost the title to Kid Lycos 2, but he's still a big name. Do you know what I mean? But I think sometimes he doesn't get the love he actually deserves, and that's kind of frustrating for me.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that promo sounded good, and I thought he had a good look there too in the picture. Kind of looks like the confident, cocky heel. Yeah, that's a beautiful title belt, by the way.
I know. I kind of want to get the replica, but it's like £300-400.
Oh, I mean, it looks dope. It does. I like the Progress logo and everything. That looks really cool. But yeah, that sounded good, man. It was a good promo. I'd like to see more of this guy's work. Do you think that he'll eventually end up stateside and end up in one of the big two?
I don't know. Do you know what I mean? I feel like that all depends on him, what he wants to do as himself. I mean, he's been wrestling for quite a long time. The thing is, with people like that, if he goes to stateside, it's kind of frustrating, obviously, to go from the UK fan base because a lot of fans like him. I personally like him as well. But I don't know. I don't see it. I mean, that's no disrespect to Spike himself, but it just depends what Spike wants to do, you know, himself.
Yeah, and I guess it's kind of hard too because your all scene it's basically independence. I mean, you all don't have like a major promotion, right? It's all just like indies. And I mean, the US is a long way from home. You know, a lot of people aren't going to want to do that, and that's totally understandable. So, you know, maybe he just wants to hang around the British independent scene. I can't really fault him for that.
Not at all. So we'll obviously end on some honourable mentions. Just out of curiosity, did you have any you didn't include, but you'd just like to honourable?
I've batted around the idea of putting Danielson on my list, and I know he's not typically seen as like a promo guy, and some of his promos aren't great, but when he's super motivated and super emotional and really hyping up a big match, I think Bryan Danielson could cut some amazing promos that get you really, really involved in the angle. And so I thought about putting him on my list, but I ended up substituting him because I don't think I could call him one of my 5 favorite promos at this point. But he's definitely an honorable mention on my list. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, but the funny thing is, I was getting the clip for Bryan Danielson, and then I looked at your comments going, oh shit, he's took him out.
Yeah. I toyed with the idea of putting him on here, but I mean, you can hear some really impassioned promos from Danielson. Like I love the promos he cut where he was like telling Eddie Kingston that he was a bum and he didn't believe in him. You know, it's like it just felt real. It felt like he really thinks that about Eddie Kingston, which maybe he does. I don't know. But I just think that he can cut some really good promos. Another one that I would put as an honorable mention was Samoa Joe. Samoa Joe's American, and I always thought that his promo ability was off the charts. The guy could cut there's not many people that could cut the badass heel promo as good as Samoa Joe. Like, he's not the, MJF, Adam Cole kind of heel, but he's like the I'm a monster heel and I'll choke you out and kill you kind of heel. But he cuts amazing promos with a lot of anger and a lot of emotion and sounds very tough when he's on the microphone. So I've always been a big fan of Samoa Joe on the mic as well.
Yeah, the thing is with Samoa Joe, a lot of people, I don't think he gets the love he deserves for the promos, to be honest with you.
I agree. Yeah. I agree. I think he's fantastic on the mic. I've always thought that. Even dating back to early TNA, I think he's great on the mic.
Yeah, so 2 solid picks there. A lot of names which also got mentioned to me is a couple of people I've actually interviewed weirdly. It seems to all fall around. So Tate Mayfair's the guy who obviously was a dick to us when I obviously interviewed him. Reese and Rogan, which is obviously one of my favorite tag teams. Scotty Rock, who's really up and coming as a heel. Lana Austin, again, I was tossing between Lizzie and Lana. 2 obviously heel like female competitors, and I obviously stopped on Lizzie, but Lana is obviously great as well. I just want to point that out. And there's so many I've obviously not mentioned, you know what I mean? I don't want to single anybody out, but I will be honest, it was so difficult to pick 5, from me personally, because there's just so many great talent. I imagine it's the same for you as well.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of people out there that you could pick from. And it wasn't too hard for me to come up with a 5, just because the 5 that I picked, I think, are the 5 that are killing it today. As far as like the current landscape of pro wrestling goes. Now, if we open this up to all time, which maybe we'll revisit that sometime, that's gonna be a little harder. Yeah, it's gonna be a little harder to choose an all-time promo list, 5 Americans, and it'd probably be even harder for you because like historically, like what Brits are you gonna put on the list? I think you'd probably have to go with like Nigel McGuinness and some Regal, maybe some folks like that. But
I think Regal did actually cut some good promos, though. To be honest with you,
yeah, Regal he had some damn good promos for sure. Yeah.
I mean, I don't remember much about Davey Boys and stuff like that. That would actually be more difficult than this one, to be honest with you.
It would, because I mean, there's really not been a lot of British talent that's been like noteworthy for promos on like a worldwide scale. The guys that we've seen from the British wrestling scene have always mostly been like powerhouse guys like Davey Boy or technicians, like Dynamite Kid or whatever. Your Zack Sabre Jr. types, very technical. I can't really think of a ton of British guys or, UK, if we open it up to Irish and Scottish and whatever. I think technically he's Canadian, but Roddy Piper would probably be on the list because he's Scottish. But yeah, that would be kind of hard. That would be hard for me to sit down and pinpoint 5.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's obviously wind down. So the Magic of Wrestling is back this, I can't remember if it's Wednesday or Thursday, as I head to Scotland to speak to somebody from Haney's neck of the woods.
Going to talk to a Scot. Nice.
That's on the 23rd of May, which let me just double check when that is. That is, of course, Thursday, 8 p.m.
Now, is he salty?
We'll find out on the day.
That'll be interesting. If I'm available in the office that day, I'll tune in and listen while I'm working.
Of course. So that's this Thursday. We're obviously back next Saturday. We're not quite sure what we're doing yet. We'll sort something out, but you guys will find out as always. So if you guys
together,
we always do, right?
Yeah, we're good. I mean, dude, we can throw a show together in 10 minutes and make it work. It's all good.
There you go. I think we did that once, didn't we?
I'm pretty sure we have. Yeah.
I think that was, we answered the questions from like online. I think we threw that together in 10 minutes.
Probably. Yeah. I kind of remember a little bit about that, but yeah, I mean, we could throw something together and make it entertaining. It's not hard to sit on here with 2 passionate fans and just talk wrestling for an hour to an hour and a half. It's really not hard.
But the funny thing was that actual show's got, I think that's like one of our most viewed clips.
Probably is. Is that the one where we did the how big is it? Is it that one?
No, I think it was the AEW special one where we just answered like questions what fans were asking it, like searching on AEW.
Oh, okay, yeah.
It's like way back.
We've had some where we pulled some ridiculous questions, like do wrestlers really hate each other, and like just stupid shit like that. We had a couple episodes where we talked about those.
It is. Do you know what I mean? We always have some fun. So if you guys obviously want to listen back to the show, you can head to MO Wrestling on Twitter, Instagram, or TikTok. That's MO Wrestling. Or if you guys want to watch this back on Spotify, or you can listen to it back, should I say, The Magic of Wrestling. Or, as you can see at the bottom, if you want to head to All Effing Wrestling Show, you can support any of the After Dark shows, the Around the Effing Galaxy, the All Effing Wrestling shows. We've got so many shows on this channel, let's be honest.
We do. And, usually I'm kind of a double header on Saturdays. I don't think we're going to do the garage tonight. Apparently there's some big hockey going on, and our Canadian friends are invested in that emotionally. So I think we're probably going to take the night off from the garage again, because I'll be honest with you. When we did the garage last weekend, it's always a good time when I sit down with, our pals Aaron and Joe Graham and talk about Collision on a Saturday night. But dude, these like Collision, Rampage, like super shows, like we don't even go on the air till like 11 o'clock. And poor Joe and I were like dead. Like we were running on fumes. And we shit out a show and made it all right. But like he and I both were like running on fumes. And we're like, dude, I honestly don't even remember half the shit from the show. But somehow we made it work. So, but I don't think
That's
we're going to
not-
be doing the garage tonight.
That's absolutely fine. So, like I said, I think I've covered everything there. Mr. Isaacs, one final thing. See us out to the outro.
Yeah. I'm going to keep it a little short because I'm hacking on gunk here. Not to be gross, but guys, hang in there. We all go through some rough patches. I kind of felt a little, I don't know, I felt a little mentally off this morning. I think I was a little upset from being sick and, all that. But, we all have frustrations. We've got to rise to the occasion. We've got to overcome them. Find something that makes you happy. Like I said, I was in a bad mood. I came on and did this show with my friend Liam, and now I feel better an hour later. I mean, find something you enjoy. Find something that makes you happy, and you can get through it. Whatever you're dealing with, you can get through it. Put that fist in the air and just keep fighting.